Richard Holden here. Let's talk about Chevy's tune port injection and how well it works on 4 different motors. In this video, we're going to take a look at tune port injection on 4 different combinations. We have a 4.3 liter L99, no, not a 4.3 liter V6, a 4.3 liter V8. We also tested the tune port on a 305, a 350, and a 383. And on the 383, we tested 2 different versions, a high flow version to see if it changed the power output. Let's check it out. After spending a week down at West Tech running the 4.3 liter L99, the little V8, with the tune port, I wanted to compare the 4.3 liter to some other displacements to kind of illustrate to you guys what happens when you run these tune ports, so we can show you kind of the limitations of that particular design, but also the benefits of that design. And obviously the reason that we wanted to run it on the 4.3 liter is because it offers so much more torque production, and we thought was going to work very well on the smaller motor on the 4.3 liter. Now we know from previous testing, if you haven't taken a look at those videos, check them out. There's lots of tune port testing up there, both on a 350 and on a 383, and I'm going to show you some of that stuff now. But I was hoping that on the 4.3 liter, that the tune port manifold, despite the fact that the really long runners kind of limit power production at the top of the RPM range, I was hoping on the smaller motor that we might be able to push the peak power up a little higher on the small motor with the tune port and have all that wonderful torque production. But unfortunately, that's not what happened. Now, we did get a lot of torque from the tune port, especially compared to the LT1 intake manifold, but we did not get the thing making peak power at a much higher RPM, and that's why I wanted to do this video. So if we take a look at, here's our 4.3 liter with the tune port. Now this 4.3 liter L99, on this particular test, we ran it with a number of different camshaft and cylinder head combinations, but this was with the stock heads. It was with a small cam. It was a 410, 427 lift split, a 207, 214 degree duration split, 117 degree lobe separation angle. Not by any stretch of the imagination an ideal cam for a 4.3 liter. In fact, it should have a much tighter LSA, and it would be much better. It would enhance torque production down low, probably make more power everywhere with a much tighter LSA. But this is a combination, and we ran this thing with the stock heads. And here is the shape of the curve. As you can see, we're making a lot more torque than we are horsepower, which is pretty typical of a tune port motor. And we'll see that both on the 305 and the 350 L98, and actually also on the larger 383. We tested the tune port, a number of different tune port combinations on that size displacement. So equipped with that combination and a tune port, a modified tune port on our LT1 based L99, we made 235 horsepower. And you can see we made 276 foot-pounds of torque. The interesting thing, and I want you to remember this when we compare this to the other larger displacements, is that we were making peak power at 5,000. And in fact, most of the power production on these motors is below 5,000. On the smaller motor, it didn't fall off quite as bad. It was still making over 225 horsepower out at 5,800 RPM. So on this small displacement, the fall off wasn't as bad. But let's take a look and see how this compares to a 305, a 350, and a 383 all run with a tune port. To continue our testing on the tune port injection system, this was run on a bone stock 305, a 5 liter small block Chevy, and I did this one to compare the 5 liter 305 to the 5 liter 302 Ford in a back to the 80s shootout between these two EFI combinations. But in running this is a bone stock 305. It was an iron-headed motor. It was an LB9. It had the factory tune port injection on it. The only thing that we did was we put a set of 1 3/4 headers on it. We ran it with a Holley management system. We ran it with an open throttle body the way that we always do, and with an electric water pump. But the interesting thing is this thing made peak power. It made 252 horsepower and 315 foot-pounds, but it made peak power at 4,700 RPM. Now, we know if we put a small camshaft in it like we did on the 4.3 liter, that would push peak power out about 100 or 200 RPM. So it would bring it out to 4,800 or so, kind of where the in the range of the 4.3 liter as well. But the interesting thing is that they're all making, and this is something that we'll see that will be very common among all these motors, they're all making peak power at about the same RPM, despite the fact that the displacement is dramatically different. We're going to go up in displacement here. We'll go from the 4.3 liter to the 305 to a 350 and then to a 383. And as you'll see, this tune port setup, despite the fact that it was designed originally for a 305, is wanting to make peak power at the same RPM, despite the fact that all these motors are going to want dramatically different flow rates. But the tuned runner length is actually what's producing where these things make peak power. So in this case, we made it at 4,700. But like I said, if we were to run a small camshaft in this thing would push peak power out another 100 or 2 or maybe possibly even 300 RPM. So they're all going to make peak power at about the same RPM on this 305. This is one of the motors that I wish I would have never taken apart because it had basically 0 miles on it. And it was kind of like a time capsule one, and I keep kicking myself. But we did, and now this is running around in a car with a carburetor on it and stuff, and a set of aluminum heads, and you know, the guy's having fun, which is awesome. So now let's take a look at, and unfortunately I can't compare all of these on the same graph because they are run at different times, and the graph program won't allow me to overlay these. But if you want to take a look at this 305 versus the 4.3 liter, you can see in typical fashion the bigger motor makes a lot more torque, and the smaller one, we didn't rev the 305 past about 5,000 RPM because we knew that we were already on the downside of the power curve. But you can see that they have similar curves. They're making lots and lots of torque and not a lot of horsepower. Unfortunately, I can't overlay the 350 and the 383 stuff, but we'll take a look now at the L98 350 and kind of see where we're making peak power on the bigger motor. To further illustrate that is basically the runner length determining where these things are going to make power, we also obviously ran our stock tune port setup on a 350, an L98, the aluminum headed original 350 from a Corvette. Now we ran it in the same manner that we run the other motors. We've got long tube headers, we've got an electric water pump, we have a Holley management system and an open throttle body, and run in this manner. This one produced 331 horsepower and 394 foot-pounds of torque. But this one had some kind of small camshaft in it because we know that a factory tune port motor, a 350, actually doesn't make this kind of power, not rated somewhere between 230 and 85 and 245 horsepower. They won't make quite this much power. So this one obviously had some kind of small camshaft in it. It came from the Chevy race shop when we tested it. So there weren't markings on the cam. We're not sure what exactly the camshaft that they ran in this, but obviously it wasn't stock. But the point is, if we take a look at, once again, where this thing made peak power, it made peak power at 4,800 RPM and made peak torque at 3,900 RPM, which is interesting. The other motors also made peak torque within 100 or 200 RPM of each other and made peak power within a couple hundred RPM of each other. So all of these motors seem to be making the same, or they're making their peak power and peak torque numbers at the same RPM, despite the fact that they're dramatically different combinations. They're both different in displacement and compression and head flow and obviously even cam timing in most of these cases. They've got wildly different cams. But the tune port manifold is deciding where these things are going to make power. So they're all going to make peak power, it seems like, at 5,000 or lower RPM and peak torque below 4,000 RPM. And then, as we'll see, especially with the 383, the camshaft and cylinder heads and stuff are going to determine what happens after that. But the tune port, the runner length on the tune port is going to determine, hey, look, this is where the effective cylinder filling is happening. This is where we want to run at because of our runner length. This is where we're going to optimize power production. And what happens after that is, yeah, you can make some power. You can continue to make a little bit of power, but it's just not going to work as well. So let's take a look at what happened when we ran this tune port setup, a stock tune port setup on a larger 383. After looking at all these stock and mild combinations, I know what you're thinking. Yeah, but what if we were on this tune port manifold on something like super healthy with lots of camshaft in it, lots of head head flow and maybe lots of displacement. Well, I did exactly that. We ran it on a 383 that had a big cam and an extreme energy 294 cam. It had trick flow heads. It was a 383. It was 10.5 to 1. So it had a lot of stuff going for it. In fact, it was probably not the ideal combination to run our tune port comparison. So if you haven't taken a look at that video is up where I ran all of the factory, basically available tune port manifolds with the exception of the first, which everyone is going to point out. But check out that video. It's right here. I'll go ahead and put a link up. You can take a look at that video where we compared all the different tune port manifolds on this 383. But if we take a look at the power output, or the shape of the curve on this 383, it actually made peak power at about 5,000 RPM, despite the fact that it had a very big camshaft. Now, if we take a look at this curve, we can see that it continues to be flat out past the power peak. In fact, it held within 1 or 2 horsepower for a very long way, all the way out almost to 6,000. But what the tune port is doing is limiting what power production is going to be at a higher RPM. If you take a look at that tune port shootout, you'll see that if we put a simple dual plane manifold or any of the other short runner manifolds like a Stealth Ram or even the Excel Super Ram, that will make peak power at a much higher RPM. It will allow the thing to run. And it's not doing that because of airflow, as we'll see in just a second. It's actually doing it because of runner length. Because here's what happened when we improve the airflow. Now we put a set of TPIs, a basically ported or high flow base manifold, and then high flow bigger tubes, bigger diameter tubes, and a ported plenum. And when we did this on the extrude hone version as well, basically we had the same curve, we just had more power, but it made peak power. It wanted to make power production basically at the same RPM. We had a little bit of a jump up here, which I think is an anomaly out at 6,000 RPM, because it didn't show that on any of the other ones when we ran it with the extrude hone stuff. But basically what happens is when we're running this runner length, it wants to make power at that RPM range. We made peak torque at 4,000 RPM, actually at 3,900 with the stock setup. But this is where these tune port manifolds want to make power. They want to make lots of torque at 4,000 RPM or lower. They want to make peak power at about 5,000 RPM or lower. And if you put lots of camshaft in it and lots of displacement, you can extend this out, but the power curve is basically going to be kind of flat. The way to change this is obviously to shorten the runner length, which is what you'd want to do if you want to make power at a higher RPM. Or you can run boost with these. You can run a centrifugal supercharger with a rising boost curve, and that will allow you to make power out at a higher RPM because you have an increasing amount of flow, and so you've artificially altered the shape of the power curve. But you're not going to do it dramatically. We've run a turbo on this, and that are on a tune port manifold, and that video is up. I've also run centrifugal blowers on these combinations, as I have with the equally long runner 5-liter Ford manifold, and the same kind of thing happens. You just make power at this RPM because that's what happens with that runner length. It's optimized for power production in a given RPM range because, as remember, always intake manifolds are RPM specific. Okay guys, what's the takeaway from all of this testing on the tune port manifold? If we learn nothing else, please learn this, that intake runner length determines the effective operating range of an intake manifold. Long runners, like the tune port, want to make peak power and peak torque down low. In this case, on the tune port Chevy manifold, it wants to make power below 5,000 RPM and peak torque below 4,000 RPM. And we showed that on 4 different combinations, the 4.3, the 305, the 350, and the 383. So all of you guys out there that are trying to make the tune port run at high RPM, don't bother. It's not going to do that unless you change the runner length. That's the critical thing. Armature holder guys, make sure to like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, do all that stuff, and I will keep testing.